Joining us now, former Republican Congressman from Florida, MSNBC political analyst Carlos Curbelo. Former Brooklyn prosecutor, MSNBC legal analyst Charles Coleman is here as well. Congressman, we spent a good part of the beginning of President Trump's second term talking about DOGE, right? About how important it is to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money. Now, the administration is deploying military to cities that have not asked for help, warships to the coast of Venezuela, continuing to build the wall and painting it black. Are these helping to solve the immigration problem?
Chris, immigration has been Donald Trump's strongest issue. Border security, I think, is an issue where most Americans would give this administration high marks because they have succeeded in controlling the border. However, they could fumble this issue by coming across as too cruel. Think about the types of voters who are going to decide who controls Congress in the next election, November of 26. Those suburban voters, a lot of women, swing voters. How does this play with them, right? The idea of alligator Alcatraz, a prison surrounded by vicious alligators, or this new border wall now where people could get burned if they touch it. This is an issue where the administration is strong, has a lot of momentum, yet they might really concede it to Democrats because they might come across as too extreme and too cruel.
So, Charles, New York City's mayor, Eric Adams, in a break with the president, is calling for no more arrests at the courthouse, where we have repeatedly seen ICE agents detaining people who are there to go to their mandatory immigration hearings. They're trying to do it by the books. Now people say they're scared to show up. Unless the president somehow listens to the mayor, do they have no legal recourse?
They don't, Chris, and that's the difficult part of what we're talking about in terms of the enforcement and the way in which this administration has sought to enforce its immigration policies. I think Carlos is exactly correct. The end of ultimately having a handle on immigration in this country is something that gained Donald Trump a great deal of popularity, but the means through which he is currently doing it and the lack of brazen humanitarianism that's missing from his approach is turning a lot of people off. And I think that when you're talking about people who have to show up to court for mandatory procedures being swooped up by ICE during that, when they're just trying to follow the law and do the very thing that they're claiming is not being done by all of these illegal immigrants, but they're still being wrapped up and swept up by ICE, that presents an optics problem that I think this is going to be a problem for this administration. But in terms of the recourse for the individuals, unfortunately, no, unless there is a change of heart or unless there is a change of policy, there will not be another option for these people who are getting detained when they're just going to participate in the actual lawful process of trying to comply and become citizens.
So, Congressman, what do you make of Adams breaking with President Trump here?
Look, I think, number one, he's trying to win a race and he's trying to build a coalition, and he knows there aren't a sufficient number of Trump voters in New York City in order to win. Number two, I think this is just common sense. I mean, if people are going to the courts to obey the law, to follow the due process system outlined in the law, why would you apprehend people there and discourage others from going to court? I mean, this is going to push people deeper into the shadows. People aren't going to show up for their court-ordered appointments. It's going to promote more people, hiding and trying to prevent getting right with the law. So for Adams, I think it's a political consideration and maybe also just common sense.
Charles, meantime, even U.S. citizens we know are getting caught up in all of this. And I want to play what two Americans in Los Angeles told our local station there.
They tackled me to the floor, and they put the cuffs on me. That's when I got upset because I think to myself, they're just attacking Hispanic people, Hispanic-looking people, and they don't even care if they're documented or not.
I'm like, wait, bro, like, literally it happened so fast. I was with my adrenaline. I'm like, what's going on? All of a sudden, the other guy just tells him, like, hey, just get him. He's Mexican. As long as you look Mexican, they will come up to you and they just take you up.
They say this is all happening because of the color of their skin, the way they look. DHS says any claims that individuals are being targeted because of their race is categorically false. But when we hear over and over again these stories from people who are U.S. citizens, Do they have any kind of case? Do they have any kind of resource, particularly if they're arrested and incarcerated?
So, in terms of the law, they absolutely do. And the tricky part, Chris, is when you're starting to talk about damages, because the liability of the government from having violated their civil rights is absolutely something that they would be able to establish. The damages that they would be able to establish versus, from an incident of this nature is where the government ends up being able to take advantage of people. And I know that that sounds very harsh, but you're talking about a system that is going to be very, very difficult to initiate any sort of legal action against in the first place, and a number of different legal hurdles that you'll have to maneuver through just to get to a place where you will then be able to plead your damages, and they won't necessarily be high. So in a lot of ways, this could be described as a space for a Pyrrhic victory, because once you even get to the place to litigate that issue, the final damages are going to be far outweighed by everything that you sort of have exhausted just to get to that point. So it is a very bad space.
The time and the money, right, Charles? I mean, these are not things that happen like that.
Correct.